Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Warning: this video will contain spoilers for the 1977 Steven Spielberg film, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. This video may also contain discussions and/or images of violence, sexual situations, and drug use. Viewing beyond this point is a choice you have made, and you take responsibility for that choice. Thank you, and please have a nice day.
Hello and welcome to this video. I hope everyone's doing alright. I hope everyone is having fun, and I hope the universe is treating you well. Today's video we are going to talk about Close Encounters of the Third Kind. This movie is probably the movie that started me into my theatrical embracing of the science fiction and movies. I actually saw this before I saw Star Wars, if my memory is working correctly. It was written and directed by Steven Spielberg, who had just previously given us Jaws. It starred Richard Dreyfuss, Melinda Dillon, Terry Garr, among others. This movie was just one of those movies that watered or fertilized or combination thereof my imagination. The movie starts out in a desert. They find the fabled Flight 19. Which had disappeared on a training mission on December 5th, 1945. Thing is, the planes were found in perfect, immaculate condition, no pilots. The amount of fuel that had been burnt was consistent with from takeoff to where they disappeared. And it's this whole, it's just this opening to this movie is just one of those great, just, at least for me at 7 years old, it was just wow. It grabs the imagination, takes hold of it and shakes it. Then we have Richard Dreyfuss's character, who's married to Terry Garr, and they have kids. There's a bunch of unusual, crazy stuff going on, power outages. Richard Dreyfuss's character is named Roy Nearly. He's an electrician, so being an electrician, he gets sent out to figure out why we're having all these power outages and weird shit going on. And this is when he first encounters the aliens. Or the spaceships, not the aliens themselves, but the spaceships. And it leaves an impact on him. It leaves him wondering what's out there. His wife, Terry Gar, his wife's Ronnie. She deals with it the best she can. She, all the way up to the part that he just loses it. Meanwhile, you have a 3-year-old, 4-year-old boy. I think the child actor who plays him is a little bit older. Who seemingly his toys and stuff come to life. They start running amok. He goes outside. Mama doesn't. Mama's freaked. I've seen a lot of things where where a lot of people have said that the mom was negligent or whatever. Because there's one scene where he runs outside, he runs into the forest, and she's just kind of looking out the window calling for him. And for the longest time, I kind of felt like that. Then, as I got older and as I matured, as I saw different things happen in life and working as a prison guard and stuff, I realized she just locked up. She did. Her brain just kind of went into a safe mode, or a just kind of locked up. And so all her brain could function do was to stand there and call for a child to come back. And it took a minute for her to go out to get him. The mom was played by Melinda Dillon. The character's name was Gillian Gulder, Guiler, Gulder. Who, that is the character that Terry Gar originally auditioned for and wanted to play, but she got cast as Richard Dreyfuss's wife. The boy, he has the connect. He gets whatever happened to Richard Dreyfuss's character happens to the boy. They get obsessed. They start building things. They start forming this kind of shape or mountain or whatever, and they do it with anything. Mashed potatoes. There's some really great scenes with Richard Dreyfuss's character with shaving cream and mashed potatoes. There's a scene when Dreyfuss's character loses it. He just loses his shit. He goes outside, starts throwing in mud, dirt, all kinds of shit, just throwing it in. His kids think it's just hilarious, and Terry Gar, his wife, cast as his wife, she's like, I've had enough. Until you come to your senses, I'm taking the kids and I'm going to my mom's house. Peace out, bitch. And this is early enough in the morning. Like I said, he just loses his shit. And she's still in her night clothes at this point. She just loads everyone up and kids, and she pieces out on him. She's like, peace. And he's, you know, he loves her, but whatever hypnotic suggestion or whatever the extraterrestrials put into his brain or whatever, calling him to build or go to or do whatever, he is like this. It's like a compulsion. It just overrides everything. So he's home alone. Eventually, the little boy who's on the other, who's the, I guess, the B side of the story, where Richard Dreyfuss's character is the A side of the story. This little boy is the B side, and they're on course to intersect. The little boy gets abducted. As far as we know, he gets abducted. Which eventually brings Richard Dreyfuss' character in line with his mom, with the little boy's mom, not his own mom. And they come together. This A and B come together. Then over here we have, at the beginning, we had our researchers, the people that found the airplanes from World War II, and they are trying to figure it out, and they've realized that there is alien UFOs, other planets, other life other than our own. So once our A and B hero and heroine team up, we start spending a little bit more time with the scientists. And the scientists are trying to figure it out. And they can't. Until all of a sudden the computers kick on and they get a stream of numbers that at first they seem meaningless. The numbers are 104, 44, 30, 40, 36, and 10, and they just repeat over and over and over again. One of the scientists has a background in cartography or map making, and just out of sheer dumb luck, he realizes that these numbers are grid coordinates, and the grid coordinates lead him to the Devil's Tower in Moorcroft, Wyoming. So the government does what the government does and overreacts. And there's this big conspiracy. They go in, they fabricate a bunch of livestock death, poison gas, industrial accident bullshit, so they can secure this area. Also, the government had figured out that there's a musical chime runs parallel to different Eastern religion chants, and they connect the two. And it's an interesting process. I'm trying not to spoil the details. I'm kind of giving vague spoilers, but they connect it, and how they connect it is really interesting. They put it together So they got that. So they figured out that what they're getting is aliens are visiting. Why are they visiting? Why are they telling us to go to the Devil's Tower? So the government cordons it off, evacuates the people. Like I said, they've got this whole sham thing going with toxic chemical release and stuff. However, to the government's chagrin, is you have people across the country that had been visited by these aliens and all have this hypnotic or mental suggestion put into them. So a large chunk of them just realize through accident or manipulation or whatever, or in Richard Dreyfuss's case, he sees it on the news. That there's this big news because, you know, when you go to evacuate all these people and all these cows wind up dead and all this good stuff, horses, chickens, what have you, the news is going to get involved. So the government is spinning the shit out of this and putting it out news. And when they show the mountain, the Devil's Tower in the background, a lot of the people that had been visited or seen the aliens or got this hypnotic suggestion put in, connect one and one and come up with two. So they start this pilgrimage. And the government is trying to nicely repel these people, you know, basically convince them it's poison, you're going to die if you stay here, blah, blah, blah. Richard Dreyfuss and company wind up getting away from the government. They figure out that it's all a sham and they sneak out. They get detected and the government tries to capture them. They don't. They make it back to they make it up to the mountain. They make it up to the secret government landing pad thing. The aliens show up. They do the whole music, which I really wish I could share that. A lot of that music, that ending or near the end, not the ending, near the end, where you got the the music thing going. I wish I could share that, but I don't know how the insane copyright algorithm would react, because it's more than about 30 seconds, a couple minutes, and I don't trust the algorithm. But it is just, you know, especially, I mean, at 54, almost 55, it's a moving. But at 7, when I was 7 and watched this, it was blow my socks off awesome. Then Richard Dreyfuss's character shows up. He infiltrates with the government agents, and basically the aliens land. They come out. All the people that have been abducted over the years, they let out, and they take more people with them. They kind of do a people swap. And one of the kids that gets let out is a little kid who was the first part of the movie. Richard Dreyfuss gets taken into the alien spacecraft with the other peoples, with some of the government people, the pilots from the airplane. You know, these poor people, for them, you know, maybe an hour, a couple hours, day or two have passed. But in reality, for some of them, it's been 40 years, 50 years, 100 years, you know. It's just the time and the traveling on the spaceship is different than the time sitting on Earth. So, and that's when the movie ends. This is, like I said, this is like I said, I saw this movie before I saw Star Wars. And this movie, I think this movie laid the groundwork for me to enjoy movies like Star Wars, Alien, Flash Gordon, all of these movies, you know, my childhood. I know Flash Gordon doesn't have the best reputation in the world, but, you know, I liked it. It had great music, by the way. And I think this movie is the movie that laid that groundwork, laid that foundation. This was a movie I think my mom wanted to see, and she took me along because I wanted to go with her. At this point, I'm 7 years old. I've read a little bit of Heinlein, or my mom has read. I've read a little bit. My mom has read to me a little bit of Heinlein, like his Juveniles, his like the Rolling Stones, Have Spacesuit Will Travel, Tunnel in the Sky, stuff like that. So yeah, I was kind of pre-programmed for science fiction, because my mom was a big science fiction nerd, which I became a big science fiction nerd, and I mean, it is what it is. That's probably the reason why I like comic books. You know, middle-aged guy, you know, still reads comic books. You know, but I also read. You know, I read Aristotle, Nietzsche, Frank Miller, Robert Heinlein, you know, Jeff Loeb, you know, this cornucopia of different things. And I think this, to be honest with you, this is the movie that laid that foundation for me, for the visual part, the eye, to see the moving, the aliens and the pew 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 and boom 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 and the aliens and all that stuff. Yeah, it is. It's one of those things that I'm glad I saw it in the theater. I'm glad I saw it at 7 years old. If they ever re-release it to the theater, yeah, I will bend over backwards to go see it again in the theater. Especially now that they've restored it, upped it to 4K and beyond. Yeah, that 2001 Space Odyssey. I'd love to see that in the movie theater. Unfortunately, I was born a year too late for that. So yeah, I would love to see. Those are two movies: 2001 Space Odyssey and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, with some hemp Delta 8 edibles. Yeah, both those movies. So until next time, everybody, I'm going to wrap this up here. And remember, to be a good human, be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?